Yo, what up guys, it's Yeti here. So in today's video, I want to talk about how Mythic Plus players just doubled their chances of getting Mythic track items from dungeon-only content in patch 11.2 of World of Warcraft. So as you previously know, Mythic Plus players were only able to get Mythic track items, which is the highest item level, the strongest items in the game, from their vault. So after you completed enough dungeons, you had to do level 10 or higher, which if you did 8 of them, you had 3 slots that would potentially spawn good Mythic track items after 1 week, and then you were able to obviously upgrade them all the way with gilded crests that were dropping even on difficulties, I think 7 and up of Mythic Plus. This got a lot of people complaining because Mythic Raiders are able to get many items. You know, every Mythic boss drops multiple items. They can do them every single week, etc. While M Plus players were potentially doing even harder content and having way lower chance to get these items. Now, Blizzard has just introduced a mechanic, which is, in my opinion, a little bit toxic also in a way. I'll talk about more of that in a second. But basically, Tazavesh hard mode is going to be a way to give you another chance of getting a Mythic track item, but it's going to be a major challenge. I do just want to disclaim that this has been based on the patch 11.2 on the PTR, which is the test realm, and may see some changes. But I think the way these things work will be pretty much spot on. We might just have some minor details change when we load into the dungeon. So they have just added a one-shot deathless hard mode in Tazavesh. The way this has to be done is that you have to obviously enter the Tazavesh dungeon with a full group that has not been there and not died yet. And every player in a group which completes a deathless Tazavesh on the first attempt of the week will earn a guaranteed piece of Mythic 1 out of 6 loot. So yeah, just to get into more details. All players at the start of the week will get this buff called Street Smart. The buff is removed from the entire party when any member of the party dies inside Tazavesh. This, obviously fails the one-shot deathless reward for that character. If all players have the Street Smart when a deathless hard mode buff when the dungeon is completed, this completes the challenge, and then after you complete the challenge, you will get a chest which will reward a guaranteed piece of Mythic track gear for each player, which will be randomly selected from all bosses in Tazavesh. So this is really good. You can even get some insane trinkets. It's just some insane items. Obviously, you can also get, chest pieces, shoulders, etc., which are going to be very good for your catalyst as well, to turn them into tier pieces, because the main stat upgrade you will get on those is going to be insane. And this is, I think, something that Mythic Plus players really wanted, because as I said, there was no guaranteed way to really get this. This one is in a way guaranteed, but it's a very hard challenge. So I want to talk a little bit more about how this works. Tazavesh by itself is a dungeon that does not have a Mythic 0 difficulty. It is only going to have this, base hard mode difficulty, which is going to be like looking at around a plus 10 difficulty if you compare it to Mythic Plus. Thing is, though, that the Mega Dungeon does not require you to have any key. So I think that this is a really good change. It's like a unique way of gearing for this season that gives you drops of 1 out of 6 hero loot from every single boss. So you'll actually get multiple heroic items from Tazavesh, and you'll also get 30 gilded crests, which is like kind of minor, right? And obviously, when you complete it, you will also get a plus 10 vault slot unlocked. I think that for people that have, friends or that are trying to, have some new ways to gear in World of Warcraft, this is really insane. I myself am a raider, and I'm already thinking about how the moment we get the patch on Wednesday, I don't even care if I get the Mythic piece or not, because I'm probably not going to be able to upgrade it. You have to keep in mind that Mythic items in the first 2 weeks are very hard to fully max out. Sure, their base item level is really high. Even if it's a Mythic 1 out of 6 item, it's going to be very good. But realistically speaking, getting multiple heroic items is going to be really strong. So I think on Wednesday, you're going to see a lot of people jumping straight into Tazavesh and clearing the entire Mega Dungeon. Again, they don't care if it's deathless or not. You will just get multiple heroic items. That's going to be super sick. And then every week after that, you probably want to enter hard mode and do the deathless attempt, because mythic items are just gonna be crazy good. Like, this is, again, even for raiders, the fact that you can potentially enter raid on Wednesday with a mythic 1 out of 6 item from Tazavesh hard mode without even touching a raid boss. And also, don't forget that this is the first time we're going to have such massive vaults. So if you did your +8 delves, you will also have a heroic item from there. And then if you do Tazavesh, you'll have multiple heroic items. And you also have a chance to get a mythic item. So this is actually game-changing for, in my opinion, for the World of Warcraft gearing up and raiding scene. This is going to change the curve of the way we get gear quite a lot. And I'm very excited. So yeah, let's look at how the hard mode Tazavesh works by itself, right? So hard mode Tazavesh is going to be no joke in Season 3. The dungeon is tuned like a +10 and recommended for 707 item level. In addition, many of the hard mode mechanics are still present and make the encounters more difficult. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, this, makes the dungeon a lot harder, scales it to a roughly +10 difficulty, which they recommend to have 707 item level. Blizzard is sometimes a little bit iffy with the recommendations. They do it for the average player. So if you're, newer to World of Warcraft, you might be looking at this to be the item level you would have when you enter. But, for all of us who've been playing the game for 20 years, we can probably be a little bit lower. I think, probably 700 would be a good item level roughly, or maybe, even 5 items level under that. And yeah, this also introduces new mechanics to the hard mode. Again, this has been done before, but just as a reminder, it's going to introduce new mechanics. So, technically 2 bosses have new hard mode mechanics compared to the Shadowlands version. A lot of us have played this in Shadowlands already. So, Zami now also divides the arena into quadrants immediately. She did this later on, but yeah, this makes sense, right? Makes the boss harder. You have to really know how to travel around. On Hillbrand, the console Chandler needs to communicate where the orbs go. Yeah, this is identical to the Shadowlands version, but now differs from the Mythic Plus version. Is this solvable by a weak aura? I'm asking you, because I do remember when this was done in Shadowlands, you would basically just slap on a weak aura, and you would just click the orbs, and it would call them out. So just to give you a presentation, you get these orbs that you need to carry around to different consoles that are in 4 corners of the room. And the way you get information where to do that is within a console that's in the center of the room, kind of. A little bit closer to, I think, the northern wall. And the person that interacts with the console gets an idea of where to go. And if you click the right ones on the weak aura, you would just call them out, right? I think this is not like a buff ID tracking thing. I think this weak aura worked purely as a smart / say, kind of thing. So I think it's going to work, right? Do look on Wago.io if the weak aura is out. And then Time Captain Hooktail now spawns the ads with a buff, giving them immunity to the first infinite breath instead of the old functionality. Okay, so interesting. So you have to, be a little bit more careful about the ads on that boss, which are probably going to be very strong and might, potentially slap some people. Do make sure to CC that. So yeah, this is the overall change for Mythic Plus gearing in patch 11.2. I am very excited for this. I'm not even a M Plus player. I do play Mythic Plus obviously for, for the achievements, getting 3K and for the weekly vault every single time. But I think this change to, adding a hard mode Tazavesh with a potential mythic track item in the pool is going to be crazy. And I'm really excited to see how hard this is going to be in practice, because as I said, they are recommending you to have 707 item level, but how much lower can this go? Will Echo, Liquid, and Method, will they actually enter raid with mythic items this time? 1 per character, obviously, because that's the most you can get from this. Will they just go in? Will they actually maybe even hold this dungeon, this lockout, before entering the raid, right? So they will do maybe normal first, heroic raid first, and after that they'll be like, well, now we're gonna get some additional juice on these characters, and we're gonna run hard mode Tazavesh deathless. I don't know. This is potentially a massive upgrade for 1 character, but it's a very hard challenge, right? Getting 1 shot takes that away. I do also think it's gonna impact the game a little bit in the sense of people might get very, very triggered with this. I'm a healer player, and we are prone to making a mistake. You know, you forget to dispel someone, or you don't pop a cooldown when there's like something going on and one of your players just pops because they don't, you know, use a defensive either. I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting. But I do encourage you, if you're gonna play this, and if your group fails, just don't flame. There's no reason. You will have so many weeks to get these mythic items, and I think it's gonna be a joke later on in the season. So just take it easy, and remember, crests are limited anyways, and this is not gonna make such a massive difference in the end for you. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, press that subscribe button, and I will see you around. Peace out.